What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with the next part of my 2016 NFL preview. So yesterday I did my top 10 bold predictions for the year, and today I am doing my sleeper team, as I'm assuming you can tell by the title. So the team that I think is going to be the biggest sleeper team this year, this is not going to be the team that I think is the most improved team. I already did that with the Oakland Raiders. I think that this year's biggest sleeper team, the team that can also make the biggest turnaround that's kind of unseen right now, is the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens had a pretty brutal season last year, if I'm being honest. I mean, well, you don't even have to be honest about that. They landed themselves, I believe, what was the 6th overall pick in what was the worst season for the Ravens in my recent memory, going 5-11 overall. Now, this is a team that I think will be ready to go, and I think very, very motivated coming off of last season's result. They still have one of the best coaches in the NFL, in my opinion, in John Harbaugh. That hasn't changed. They still have one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the league in Joe Flacco. That hasn't changed. Now, 3 big points I want to point out for why I think that they will be the biggest sleeper team this year. First one, return of Joe Flacco and Brashad Perriman. Now, saying he returned doesn't mean he missed the entire season by any stretch of the mind. He still played 10 games, but he was injured for quite a bit of the season. And the games he did play, I feel like to some degree he still wasn't fully healthy and confident. Now, last season definitely wasn't a bad season for him by any stretch of the mind, but it was pretty bad. 83.1 QBR, which is okay. Granted, compared to 2014 when he actually had a pretty good season, that wasn't his best. Like I said, 14 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, but granted, considering he only played 10 games, about 2,800 passing yards ain't too shabby. So, this camera keeps slipping out a little bit. All right, so Brashad Perriman missed the entire season. He was one of the sleepers last year with an ACL injury. Like I said, he was one of the biggest sleepers in the league last year to start the year at wide receiver. Supposed to come back this year, not sure how much of the season he's going to miss, because I believe he still is on the PUP list, physically unable to perform, if you don't know what that is. So, looking at the depth outside of Brashad Perriman, it's all right. They get newly acquired Mike Wallace, and they will also be relying pretty heavily on Kamar Aiken as well. And then tight end, newly acquired Ben Watson is going to be a big piece to that team. Now, Max Williams, another name to watch out for, the Minnesota kid. So, also on the PUP list, Steve Smith. Now, I feel like a few names to watch out for: wide receiver Kalen Clay, the kid out of Utah. I believe that's the kid that left the ball on the 1-yard line. That's probably what he'll be remembered for. And then Michael Campanaro, another name to watch out for, wide receiver. Just giving you guys a few names to watch out for. So, second reason, and most of you might not agree with this, but I definitely do, and that is their running back depth. So, Justin Forsett, the starter. Now, Justin Forsett, in my mind, is not a long-term option for any team as a starting running back. Is he serviceable? Yes, he is. Now, Justin Forsett, I still think will have a decent season this year. Outside of him, Kenneth Dixon is one of the biggest sleepers at running back in my mind. I really liked what he was able to do at Louisiana Tech over his years there. Was one of the more underrated running backs out of the 2016 NFL draft, and then you still got Lorenzo Taliaferro, again one of the more underrated running backs in the league, the kid out of Coastal Carolina. So, third reason, and I think this is maybe the biggest one besides the whole Joe Flacco thing, and I think it's going to be a rejuvenated defense ready to go this year. Because, man, I think they got quite a bit of talent on defense this year. I still think they should have used their 6th overall pick for defense, but Ronnie Stanley's no slouch to boost the offensive line, something that will also be a lot better for them this year, in my opinion. Timmy Jernigan, Florida State kid at defensive tackle, can be solid in my mind. Kamala Correa, an absolute beast at linebacker. Very, very fast kid. I think he'll be a big name to watch out for. And then Eric Weddle as well. I believe newly acquired safety. I gotta see when he was picked up. All right, so those are the three reasons I think the Baltimore Ravens will be a sleeper team for this year. Looking at their schedule, preseason isn't a big thing normally, but I do like their preseason schedule. They get to start with the Carolina Panthers, former NFC champions, and then you get the Indianapolis Colts, which is always a big game for them. And then you get the Detroit Lions, the New Orleans Saints, two teams that aren't great but should still be decently tough tests to finish out the regular season or finish out the preseason, depending on if they actually play any starters or not. You start off the season very manageably. Buffalo Bills at home, then at Cleveland, then at Jacksonville, Oakland at home, Washington at home, then at both New York teams, the Giants and the Jets. Very reasonably, they could start out their season maybe 4-1. Maybe even 5-0, who knows. Their schedule is actually very friendly. It ends the year tougher than it starts, there's no doubt about that. You do still have to go play the Patriots on the road. And you still have a division featuring the Bengals and the Steelers. Granted, I think the Bengals aren't going to be as good this year as they were last. And we'll see what can happen with the Steelers this year. That team looks a little fragile right now. See what happens with Le'Veon Bell. And, you never know what the Steelers are going to look like by the time, I believe, November 6th is the first game against the Ravens. So by the time November 6th rolls around, the Steelers could be one of the best teams in the NFL as they're capable of being, or they could be an absolute train wreck, injured all over the place with a few suspensions as the worst-case scenario would present itself. Alright, so that'll pretty much conclude this video. Like I said, wanted to give a few reasons on why I think the Baltimore Ravens can be the sleeper team of the NFL this year. Obviously, there's other teams to watch out for. Again, to some degree, I still believe the Raiders can be a sleeper team, but I do think that a lot of people are expecting their rise. The Jacksonville Jaguars are also a popular pick for a sleeper team. And then, in my mind, the Philadelphia Eagles are also a sleeper team as well. Really, every team in the NFC East besides the Washington Redskins, considering they won last year, could be a sleeper team. That's just the way the NFC East goes. Anyway, that's pretty much it. See ya.